welcome to The Shoreline, brought to you by Shores and Islands, Ohio, where finding your Lake Erie love is a sure thing. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jill Bauer, PR Manager for Shores and Islands, Ohio. Joining me today is Assistant Marketing Director Jen Yoakum. Hey, Jen.
Hello there.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. We bring you The Shoreline every week to give you the inside scoop on what's happening here in our island and coastal communities. July episodes of The Shoreline are brought to you by the Emporium at Market Street, a low-cost inclusive marketplace designed to uplift local entrepreneurs, farmers, and artists by providing an accessible platform to showcase and sell their work. The Emporium offers a welcoming environment, fostering neighborhood pride in the heart of downtown Sandusky. Now opening August 1st, you can find them online at emporiumwestmarket.com. Well, the month of July is just flying by, and it's nearly over with August on the horizon. Not by the calendar, but for me at least, it's the last month of summer, because in Ohio, school starts before the end of this month. So even though the weather and the calendar disagree, September kind of feels like fall to me. So kind of puts me in the what are the things I got to do before summer's over? Well, we have several area special events throughout the month of August. We've got the Berlin Heights Basket Festival, the Vermilion Beach Market, the Arts in the Park in Port Clinton, Island Green Week, Bash at the Bay featuring Luke Bryant and Sam Hunt, and of course the Milan Melon Festival. For event details and more information on these events, you can find all of that on our website, which of course is shoresandislands.com. But today, guys, there is one holy Schnikes event that's coming up next weekend that Jen and I have been a part of the planning committee for, and we cannot wait to share more information about it in today's podcast. So first of all, I know, Jen, you're a big fan of the movie Tommy Boy.
I am. It's pretty funny. It just doesn't get old.
Never. Hopefully our listeners are familiar with the 1995 buddy comedy Tommy Boy, starring the late, great Chris Farley, along with David Spade, among others. And if you're a fan of the film, you might remember that the setting for the story is actually Sandusky, Ohio, which is home of Callahan Auto Parts, manufacturers of brake pads. Without giving too much of the film away, because, you've got to watch it. It's such a classic. But Farley's character, Tom Callahan III, otherwise known as Tommy Boy, he basically has to save the company, which is the major employer in Sandusky, and subsequently save the whole town. So fictionally speaking, we might not be here today were it not for the quick wit and smart thinking of that giant goofball, Tommy Boy. Joining Jen and I now on the podcast is Jason Whirling, Recreation Superintendent for the City of Sandusky, who about 6 years ago had the harebrained idea to create Tommy Boy Fest. Welcome to the program, Jason.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be able to talk about this. For the past however many years we've been talking about this.
I was going to say at least 6, because we were originally planning the 25th anniversary. So this year is the 30th anniversary of the film Tommy Boy. So let's go back. Can you tell us what inspired your idea to make a citywide celebration out of this 90s comedy classic?
Well, I never thought when I first saw the movie in 1995 that I would be living in Sandusky, because I grew up in Toledo and then I went, down to Ohio University for college. But in 95, we were... Was that... Did you think that's what Sandusky was going to be like when you moved here? It's pretty similar. It's pretty similar, but maybe that's the reason why I moved to Sandusky. But it was... in 95, I was finishing up probably my second year, or my first year down at OU, and it was probably on our TV, that and, some other movies from the mid-90s, and then when I ended up moving to Sandusky, we started to do stories like 10 years later, Tommy Boy is back in the conversation. 20 years later, Tommy Boy is back in the conversation. And we did some interviews with some people back then, but then...
And you were working for the Sandusky Register at the time, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we were...
10 years ago.
And I was brought into a couple different interviews. In fact, in a conversation with Pete Siegel, the director, he said, "Were you on that interview we did probably 20 years ago for Tommy Boy Fest?" I said, "Yeah, I was. I think I was on that, and before Zoom even existed, But yeah, it was just an idea back in 2020 to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the movie, and we were, trying to work with, the State Theater at that time. We were trying to get something going, and then COVID hit, and we stopped all thoughts of bringing people together. So fast forward to 5 years after that, and in the interim, I did reach out to the director and wanted to see if he had any interest in being a part of celebrating the movie? And he said, absolutely. Like he's out of all the movies he's directed, Tommy Boy is probably the one that became the cult classic. And he's been so supportive of the event and, coming here to celebrate it with us that, we're really looking forward to that weekend.
Okay, so now that it's all finally coming together, your big vision, can you talk a little bit about what's in store for Tommy Boy Fest? Like, just give us some, teaser nuggets.
Well, 3 days for one. When we started going into the planning of this, it was what would get people excited. What would I even think about? What would have to be there to make me want to visit and celebrate the movie? So the 3 days is a big component of it. Working with you guys at Shores and Islands and the Greater Sandusky Partnership, and already having a Thursday night party at the pier scheduled with a band that's very exciting to see, and they really get into different events like they did with the Eclipse last year. The 3 days of is really important. Celebrating the vehicle, which I tell people like it's the third biggest star of the movie, is the Plymouth Belvedere, 1967 Plymouth Belvedere 2 GTX that goes through transformation through the film. Peter Siegel, the director, had bought one of the original ones from the movie and had it restored over the past couple years, and that's actually going to be here, and we're going to celebrate that on that Friday night with the car show and have several different familiar cars, you would say, be part of that car show. And then with Saturday, just being able to have Dave Paulson here, who we did a story on way back when with the Register about the album that he put together that kind of frames along with the movie, and then wrapping it up with Pete Siegel on the stage, Erie County Community Foundation stage, doing a Q&A after the movie. I don't know if you can get much better than that, other than if we could get all the cast to be here, but we're still hopeful we can land some of them here too. Right.
Yeah, that'd
right.
be nice.
Well, speaking of that, what do you think has been, kind of the biggest challenge of pulling this all together?
The biggest challenge has just been kind of the little surprises and the things you wouldn't think of when you're trying to pull together a major event like that. And just picking the weekend was the biggest thing. We I think we talked last year of when do we want to try and do this, with Sandusky being home to Ohio Bike Week and also the Ironman 70.3 Ohio, picking a weekend that wasn't going to interfere with those events, and also trying to get it in before everyone heads back to school and work, and the summer is, I'm not even going to say it, the summer is still going to go on until October. Picking
For sure.
picking that weekend was important, and just a lot of surprises, a lot of things that fell into place, good things of being able to get this going. You just wouldn't expect Kevin Farley being able to be here on that Thursday. We had originally looked at having him coming in town, but he had something in Texas Friday, Saturday. But being able to have him come Thursday to kick things off with us is just going to be an epic thing.
So what are you most excited about for Tommy Boy Fest?
The thing I'm probably most excited about is seeing all these people that have the same love for the movie. It feels like people are making their pilgrimage to Sandusky for this event. Like we've had a very, as you know, we've had a strong interest in this event over all the news stories and everything that's been coming from it. So I think I'm most excited to see all these people that are weird like me that could probably quote half the movie, and we'll be doing that all weekend with the director here.
So
yeah, we'll be and just being able to celebrate it, is going to be something I really look forward to.
We should the listeners know that Jen and I are both on the planning committee for Tommy Boy Fest with Jason, and we can't get through a meeting without quoting multiple times, quoting the movie.
What'd you do? Yeah.
Yeah, too funny. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Jason. Can you please tell our listeners where they can find the schedule, register for events?
Oh, yeah. We have
yeah.
Fat Guy in a Little Race. Yeah, it's going to be...
oh, I love it.
We just went live with the registration for that. So most of the entire weekend, as people probably will see, is free public outside events, things for people to do. But we did have a couple things that have a registration fee because there's a cost. There's a shirt or there's wings involved. So the two things right now that have a cost involved with them are the Tommy Want Wingy Throwdown that Ability Works is pulling together, and that's going to be exciting because you've got all the local places that would say, we have the best wings in town, you can actually prove it with the Tommy Want Wingy Throwdown on Saturday afternoon. And there's registration for that on Eventbrite and also at TommyBoyFest.com for the links for that. And then, we're excited about the fat guy in a little race who we just went live with it today. And, I just checked and there's 6 people signed up for it already. So, with
Nice.
something happening that quick, and it's like kids, they're like,
you should clarify how long this race is.
so the fat guy in a little race is a marathon, 26.2 mile. No, it's a 0.5K, which makes it, fun for everyone. There's going to be some surprises that I don't know if we're gonna let everybody know about that yet, but there's some surprises from the movie within that. So it would start, right on our main street, Columbus Ave, and make their way down to the pier where most of the festivities are happening, right in the middle of the day, so that like 3:00, so we can really get that, the party going. And it includes a shirt, it includes a medal, and also a race bib for that.
I love that.
So we're looking forward to. We do cap it though; it's capped at 275 participants because we want to make sure we had a shirt for everybody that wants to do it, because they're kind of a cool shirt. We couldn't do little jackets for everybody or little coats for everybody, but we'll see how that goes on that Saturday afternoon.
Well, let me tell you what, that's about the only K I can run, okay?
0.5. Yeah, 0.5.
I am not a runner.
It's right there in the description, 0.5. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's me. That would be me.
Ks. Okay, one more time, Jason, for our listeners, where can they find the schedule, all the details?
Everything is at TommyBoyFest.com. The schedule, the lineup of what we have the walking tour, the Sandusky Pedal Company tour. We're working with Joe from the Good Time to have a 90s themed Tommy Boy cruise out of the Jackson Street Pier. So all those things and all the specials that different restaurants and the bars and different places downtown are going to have. Not even just downtown, but I think even Sandusky Pancake House, who Steve was on your show a little bit ago. He's going to have some specials going on. He's also got the Callahan logo, I believe, out at his shop out there too. So just it's going to be great to see how many people come in for this, and then make sure that they bring their lookalike clothes, because we have that contest on Thursday night as well.
So many fun things planned.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited about this. Yeah.
Well, we cannot wait. So next, we have the extreme privilege of being able to interview Tommy Boy director Pete Segal. Pete Segal is an American film director, producer, screenwriter, and actor. He has directed the comedic films Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult, of course, Tommy Boy in 1995, My Fellow Americans, The Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps, Anger Management, 50 First Dates, which we will also be screening at our festival, The Longest Yard, Get Smart, Grudge Match, and most recently, My Spy. Welcome to the Shoreline, Pete.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. And we don't want to dive too deep into your Tommy Boy stories, because we've got to save something for the Q&A portion of the Saturday night during the festival. So first of all, we just kind of want to ask, what does it mean to you that this film still resonates and has an incredible fandom, like 30 years after its release? How does that make you feel?
It's incredibly gratifying. I've been doing this now for a long time, and I've had movies that were technically more successful than Tommy Boy, but there is no movie, in my filmography that has continued the conversation and has continued to attract new generations of fans, and so that is incredibly gratifying.
So when you were making this, back when you were putting this all together, did you have any idea it would end up being such a cult classic and beloved by generations of fans?
I actually thought the movie was going to be a disaster.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
We had no script, really, because I wanted to do so many changes when I came on board to the original story, and we ran out of time because so many other directors had turned this project down, because everyone wanted to work with Chris Farley and Spade, but the script wasn't ready. And so everyone kept running for the hills. And I was stupid enough to take on the assignment. But it was worth the challenge for me because I had worked with Chris twice before this movie, once on an HBO special, and then another time on an episode of an old sitcom that I produced. And I just knew that if he ever had an opportunity to have a starring role in a movie, I wanted to be there to introduce him, to the world as this new, just bright force in comedy.
As luck would have it, that's exactly what happened.
Yes, all right, that's pretty fascinating. What was the show he was on?
It was kind of a loose spin-off of Roseanne called The Jackie Thomas Show with Tom Arnold.
Oh.
And Chris and Tom were very good friends. As a matter of fact, I think Chris was Tom's best man at one of his umpteen weddings. Kidding.
Oh my God, that's funny.
I don't know. But seriously, I don't remember which wedding, but he was. And Tom and Roseanne even, put Chris into rehab. They did an intervention when I was directing an episode of that show right after I yelled cut. And so they cared deeply about him, and as did I. But I was waiting for that one opportunity. And about a year after I did the Jackie Thomas Show, I got a script on my desk called Billy the Third, a Midwestern, which was the original title of Tommy Boy. But we couldn't call it Billy anything because at the same time, across town, Billy Madison.
I was just going to say, I bet Adam Sandler was making a movie.
That's right. And so we didn't want to have two SNL-related people with the same, name in the title. So then we went down the spiral of 20,000 suggestions of what the movie should be called. And Lorne Michaels actually came up with the idea of Tommy Boy.
Oh, I love it. Well, throughout the film, there are several references to the city of Sandusky, even though exactly zero of the movie was actually filmed here, right?
I am so sorry. I'm very apologetic.
That's so funny, though.
I asked Jason Whirling when he talked to me about 5 years ago and wanted to do the Tommy Boy Fest for the 25th anniversary. And he was going on and on about it, and he's such a tremendous fan of the movie.
Super fan, yeah.
And I said, you do realize we didn't shoot one frame of film in Sandusky. He said, we don't care. You put us on the map. It's
exactly.
You and Cedar Point. So come on over. I said, okay, as long as that's clear.
So when you were making the film 30 years ago, did you know anything about Sandusky at the time?
No, the original writers, Terry and Bonnie Turner, who were the showrunners of SNL for a while, they came up with that idea. And throughout all the rewrites, that never changed. They wanted to pick, obviously it was a Midwestern. They wanted to pick a Midwestern city that was small and quaint. And I had seen pictures of it from my production designer, Stephen Lineweaver, when we knew we had to shoot up in Toronto for, tax incentive reasons, and it was less expensive and all that stuff. And but I still wanted to be true to, Ohio and specifically Sandusky. And so he showed me a lot of pictures of it. And then we went out, and as we were scouting locations in Canada, we definitely kept in mind, what the city and feel of it looked like. And I will say this, there was a time, I think at the 10th anniversary, that I was interviewed by your local paper.
Probably Jason.
Did he work for the paper?
He did, yes.
He did,
okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, I have to go back and look at it. I mean, it was the front page. It was a huge spread. And he said, wow. And before I told him that we didn't shoot anything there, he said, you really captured the flavor of our great state. And I whoever the interviewer was, I don't remember who it was. And I said, wow, did I really? He said, yes, it just feels so much like where we live. And I go, wow, you can thank Canada for that.
That's really funny. So in light of that whole thing, we feel like Sandusky's really had quite the glow up in the last 30 years since the movie first debuted. And we cannot wait to show you when you come to town in a short time here when the fest takes off. What was it about Tommy Boy Fest and our community wanting to celebrate the film that made you want to be involved and be a part of this event?
Oh, how could I not be? I mean, my gosh, you guys are doing...
We love that answer.
Oh, it's amazing. And I've got several of my friends who worked on the film are also coming out. Bill Kerr, who's one of my best friends, edited the movie. He's coming out with his wife. Jeff Abouche, who was the sound mixer on the movie and has done most of my career. He's coming out. Actually, I think one night you're doing a double feature with Tommy Boy and 50 First Dates.
Correct.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Jeff worked on both. So he said, how can I miss that? And so, we all were saying, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, if you're lucky. I don't know of many places except for maybe, Punxsutawney that celebrates Groundhog Day because of the movie. Well, they were already celebrating, Groundhog Day anyway. That would, do something like this. So it was irresistible.
Well, we heard that you're even bringing a special vehicle to the party. So can you tell us a little bit about the car that you're bringing?
Sure. Well, when we wrapped production back in 94, the movie came out in 95, the transportation coordinator offered me the car. There were basically two working vehicles in the movie, sort of the before and after of all the destruction.
I hope you got the before.
I actually got the after.
Oh, no.
But now it looks like the before.
Minus the door and with no
Oh, yeah. No, we
no
had
hood,
to put a door back on.
Oh, my gosh.
And so I said, no, thank you, because I thought the movie was going to tank. And we hadn't started editing it yet. And so we didn't know what we had. And so then a few years go by and I realized, that was a mistake. I should have taken the car. And then I started subtly inquiring about trying to track it down. And I called various people. And then cut to 2018, I hadn't been back to Toronto since Tommy Boy. We filmed there. And I'm now shooting another movie with Dave Bautista called My Spy. And ironically, 12 of the people on that crew raised their hands that they had worked on the original crew of Tommy Boy 24 years earlier. And I asked the transportation coordinator who was in the room, I said, by any chance, do you know where that car went? And he said, no, I don't. And then ironically, it was Bill Kerr, the editor, who had a little tracker in his computer about anything Tommy Boy. It pings his email. And he found that there was a barn find and the car that was discovered. It was the version that got beat up, not the pretty one. And it was used in a Katy Perry music video, Teenage Dream, and it was sitting out in a parking lot for a quarter of a century, just getting rusty. And I called Spade and I said, you should bid on this. You should have this. That feels right. And he did bid on it and he got it. And then I said, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to restore it? And he said, I don't know. I might just leave it in my garage as a conversation piece, have people just look at it as it is. I said, okay, that's cool. And then 2 years later, I was filming something in Atlanta, and he called me, and he was very mad at himself, saying, gosh darn it, I should have, told you this, but Barrett Jackson called me, and I'm selling another car, and they said, hey, do you want to flip the Tommy Boy car? And I said, yeah, sure. I should have sold it directly to you, but now you have to bid on it. It's at an auction in Scottsdale, Arizona. And so my mother lives there, and my big sister, and so I asked my big sis and my stepfather to go to the auction and just supervise this, and I'm going to bid on the phone. And so I bid on it, and my stepdad said there are a couple of old guys next to him saying, who would want that piece of shit?
Oh, my gosh.
So I said, oops. And my sister drove it to my mom's house, and it was leaking gasoline, and she opened the trunk, and there wasn't even a gas tank. There was a temporary box that they filled with gas, and it was squirting gasoline. So Ed, my stepdad, took out a ballpoint pen and shoved it in the hole to stop the leak. That's how it started.
Oh, my God.
We found a guy who ironically lived 2 miles from my mom in Scottsdale, who's the foremost restorer, Marcus Angel of Angel Restorations of Mustangs and boss. But he owned a GTX when he was a teenager and loved the story about the car and saw the movie and loved the movie. And so he decided to take it on. And after 3 years, the car is finally home in my garage, and it's about to get on an 18-wheeler and get shipped out to your beautiful city.
That is amazing. We can't wait to see it. And everybody that comes to the festival will get to sneak a peek at the original car from the movie. I can't believe you own it.
That is so cool. So finally, as a teaser for the upcoming screening with you, can you tell us at least one funny story, and I'm sure you have many, one funny story about working with the late, great Chris Farley and the making of the movie? Is there anything one thing that sticks up in your mind in particular?
Oh my gosh, there are so
I'm
many.
sure there's a lot.
There are so many. Well, I'll go straight to the, from 1 to 10, 10 being the craziest. When during the scene housekeeping, right, and then Chris screams at him to quiet down. He wants to sleep for the love of God, and then Spade says his line, and Chris says, what kind of hotel is this? And he goes and he has the bed sheet around him. And when he drops the sheet, when they realize that they've made their quota and they've saved the factory in the town, he drops the sheet and says, "Oh, Richard, hold me." And we had a few different options that we shot. We tried different kinds of underwear, boxers at first. Then we went
he had little tiny child underwear.
Then it was the child underwear where we showed a little bit of crack. And then we did do one take. I said, okay, let's just do one where you're naked, but just from behind. Do not turn around. Well, you know what happened. So I said action, and Chris did the hold me and dropped the thing, and he was naked from behind. And I said, okay, cut. And he could not resist. He turned around and just started dancing.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
He started dancing, and I said, take the film out of that camera and burn it. It's never going back to Paramount.
Oh, my Lord.
I was just going to say, please tell me somebody was still filming.
No, we would have gotten in big trouble. So, plus, no one wanted to see that. So,
that's too funny.
That's amazing. Well, we cannot wait to hear even more stories from the filming of Tommy Boy and your experience with it. And we are so honored that you're coming to Sandusky in a few weeks to join us.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it. Bringing the whole family.
Oh, we can't wait. And I think they're really going to enjoy it. Hopefully you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how much fun y'all have in Sandusky, Ohio.
I'm sure I will.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today, Pete. And we look forward to welcoming you to the home of Callahan Auto Parts in just a few weeks.
Can't wait. Thank you guys very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Pete. Thanks for talking with us today.
Okay.
Special thanks to today's guests, Jason Whirling from Sandusky Recreation Department and the great Pete Siegel, esteemed director of many Hollywood films, including Tommy Boy. We can't wait for the Q&A with Pete at next week's Tommy Boy Fest to hear even more stories. Tommy Boy Fest will be held in downtown Sandusky, August 7th through 9th, and a complete schedule can be found online at TommyBoyFest.com. And thanks to Jen for assisting today. Finally, a reminder that all of July's episodes of The Shoreline are brought to you by the Emporium at Market Street in Sandusky. So special thanks to them for their continued support. As always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a minute of the action here in Shores and Islands, Ohio. You can also find more information, including past episodes, online at shoresandislands.com. We will see you next time on The Shoreline.